helpless when I'm ocean waves.
Hello po, mga kabayan. Ako po si Dine Villar. Andito po tayo ngayon sa aming munting urban garden dito po sa Baguio. Welcome po sa aming channel. Ang i-discuss po namin sa channel is yung mga bagay-bagay na natutunan namin sa pagtatanim. Gusto lang po namin i-share sa inyo. So for this video po, ang gusto naming discuss is yung down to basics po muna. Is yung 5 needs ng mga plants in order for them to thrive. Number 1 dun is yung light. Number 2 is water. And number 3 is nutrients. 4 is space to grow. And number 5 is air, hangin. Marami po sa atin yun nagsisimula pa lang magtanim. And our hope is that we could help in a way for you to have your own garden sa bahay. Kasi the importance po ng pagkakaroon ng garden, and we advocate po talaga, is to know how to grow your own food. Kasi malaking bagay po yan, lalo na po ngayong may pandemic. Anything can help po, like growing your own veggies at home, growing your own herbs. Di na nyo po kailangang lumabas or mag-market pa para bumili. And another reason is, mas masarap po pag you know na you grow your own food, and pag natikman mo talaga yung fruits of your harvest. Okay, so pansin niyo po dun sa 5 needs ng plants, wala po dun actually yung soil. Soil can be anything naman. Nakalagay dun nutrients. Madami kasi ngayon, katulad ng mga nag-aquaponics, hydroponics, ganyan. They don't really need soil to grow. Ang kailangan lang talaga ng plant is yung nutrients, and it just so happen na yung soil is andun yung mga nutrients. Random kasi kapag sa sinabi mo kasing soil, it could also have other stuff in the soil. Minsan may mga pathogens yan that could be harmful to your plant. So in modern times ngayon, most people is nag-look into na sila sa hydroponics, aquaponics, or even going into soilless medium, para sure sila na that they control the nutrients that their plants are getting. Pero madami pa kasing factors yun eh. Dapat mong i-consider din yung cost, yung purpose mo, and yung availability mo. Since nasa Pilipinas tayo, most of the ingredients na nakikita natin sa internet, like bone meal, mga ganyan, mga seaweed fertilizer, mga azomite, mga rock dust, ganyan, most often than not, hindi natin mahanap sa Pilipinas yan. Diba? And kung meron man, for sure that is imported, and for sure mahal yun. Diba? Since we like to grow our own food for the purpose of consuming it, gusto rin natin syempre yung makakatipid tayo. Diba? Yung magamit lang natin kung ano nasa paligid natin, or easily na nakukuha lang natin. So we will focus on that. And then yung isang need is space to grow, which is directly naman yun related sa nutrients. Kasi yung space to grow, kung gusto mong mag-grow intensively, meaning magkakalapit yung mga plants mo, siguro maliit yung space mo sa bahay, or nasa apartment ka, or nasa condominium ka, and gusto mo lang siguro mga paso, ganyan. And mag-opt ka into more of a high density gardening or high density planting, where you would utilize all the spaces that you see dun sa mga paso mo, ganyan, or sa spaces na available sa'yo. Okay, so ano ba yung high density planting? High density meaning you would utilize kung ano mang available space dun sa kung saan ka nag-garden or anong pots mo. So Ang trade-off nun, you should have a rich and fertile soil. Kasi maliit na nga lang yung tutubuan ng plants mo. So, you should be sure that they are getting the nutrients that they need. So, dito sa aming munting urban garden, we really don't have that much space. Ito lang po ay bandang nasa rooftop ng bahay namin. And tinaniman lang po namin ng kung ano yung pwede. Pero we do practice high density. Like katulad nito, we place onions underneath the tomatoes and then besides carrots. Diba? So we utilize as much space that we need. And ang trade-off nito, we placed a lot of nutrients sa soil. Yun yung idea nito. So we opted to use beds, garden beds. We used hollow blocks here. And then going here, so this is one example. And another example is itong corn bed namin where we practice the Three Sisters planting. Hindi ko alam kung familiar kayo doon, but the Three Sisters planting is yung corn, beans, and squash. Where the idea is kapag tumubo yung mais, may pag-aakyatan yung beans, and then the squash would then cover the soil for preventing weeds. Pero obviously that failed. Yung squash namin, it didn't really grow that much yet, pero it's growing. And then we added another crop here which is chili or sili. Kasi sa bansa natin, sa Pilipinas, granted yes, yung sili kailangan niya ng sunlight. But sa Pilipinas kasi yung sunlight natin is medyo intense. So we placed it underneath the corn para hindi siya sun scald or magkukulubot-kulubot yung leaves niya. And hindi naman namin ganun kakailangan ng madaming sili sa aming household. We just need it paminsan-minsan, so we don't really need that much of fruit. So okay lang siguro na dito ko ilalagay siya sa silong. Pero pag nilagay ko to sa mas naliliwanagan, it would produce more cheese. Dito po sa high density planting, in a way, papakita ko na rin po yung whole garden namin dito. Makikita nyo po ito yung example ko dito. Nakikita nyo po itong mais. Ito po. There's beans that's climbing up. Ito po. And then it would produce beans like this. Ito po yung itsura niya sa taas. And kita nyo na po, tumutubo na yung mga corn namin. Ito. And then this squash po is somewhere on the back. Somewhere here. Ito po. Ito po siya. So it's starting to go around the bed. Yan. And ito po is our other chilies. Like this is the Thai bird chili. We're ripening the fruits on the plant. I believe it's better to ripe off the chilies on the plant rather than getting them po tapos ripe mo na lang sa fridge or ano, kasi mas fresh po yung lasa kapag nahinog po siya dun sa halaman. And then this is our next bed, which is our brassica bed. Brassica meaning we placed cauliflower here, cabbage, and then yung broccoli which we already harvested here. So kita nyo may kalos na po yung aming broccoli kasi kinuha ko na po yung broccoli dyan, and it would grow again another flower for us. So this is our cabbage. Nagsisimula na po siyang magkaroon ng ball sa gitna. Then hopefully we could harvest that probably by the end of this week, probably. It depends po kung gaano. And then I have another broccoli here, nagsisimula na po siyang mag-flower. Ayan. So this is another example of our high density planting. Kasi we plant cauliflowers right beside cabbages. These plants are itong mga plants kasi na to, like the Brassica family, masyado silang hungry for nutrients. Pero we are confident enough na yung soil na nilagay namin is rich and fertile. So we really know that it could thrive even in those conditions kahit magkakadikit sila. And then we placed sage here. We have marigolds sa mga dulo to prevent some insects going into. Kasi itong mga halaman na to, mga broccoli, mga cabbage, mga cauliflower, or any leafy greens, napaka susceptible kasi yan sa mga peste, lalo na sa mga uod. Yan. And then hindi mo talaga maiiwasan yan kapag you are growing organic. Meron at merong peste dyan kasi nga you're not using any chemical on your food, kaya doon mo malalaman talaga na yung natanim is organic. Kasi yeah, katulad nito, and we have, siguro may mga butas yung namin, cabbage, but it's not that important kasi what we're after naman is yung nasa gitna. As long as yung gitna is okay, and we're fine with that, diba? Yeah. So another bed is our tomato bed here. We just sprayed some organic fungicide, kaya may mga white po yung leaves. These are organic fungicides because sa panahon po kasi ngayon tag-ulan, hindi po panahon ng kamatis, so we spray fungicides to prevent the powdery mildew to form, kasi that would eventually kill the plant. So, lalo na sa tomato. Kasi ang panahon po ng kamatis talaga is pag tag-init. And since meron naman po kaming greenhouse dito and enclosed naman po siya, the trade-off is magkakaroon siya ng powdery mildew. But we sprayed organic fungicides para po hindi grabe yung ano. And we also, my point is here, we also practice yung high density here, where sa ilalim po ng aming hindi ako kasya sa amin po na aming kamatis is we placed garlic. So kita nyo po ito, may mga garlic ditong tumutubo. And we also placed basil here, different kinds of basil. Ito, this is the Napolitano basil, it's the largest basil. And the idea is pag mag-harvest ka ng tomato dito, harvest ka na rin ng basil, harvest ka na rin ng garlic, and yun dun, kumbaga ito na yung Italian bed where you can make pasta just from harvesting this bed. And kita nyo naman, tumutubo na po yung mga kamatis. Ito po is kinalabasa tomato. It's a tomato that has a shape of a squash. Here we have the normal tomato here. Kita nyo po. And hindi pa po siya hinog, and we're ripening it on the vine, tomato vine. And I also tied them up here kasi alam niyo naman po pag kamatis, lalo na pag indeterminate type ng kamatis, tutubo na lang po yan kung saan niyo gusto tumubo, as long as it has the space. So it needs to be trimmed, it needs to be tied properly. So yeah, so here is our garden outside, and then coming po dun sa shade. Remember po yung limang needs ng plant is light. Number one is light, but plants need different intensity of light po. If you're growing vegetables just for their leaves, like lettuce, pechay, kale, yung mga yan, they don't really need that much of light. They only need probably 3 to 4 hours of sunlight, or pwedeng partial shade lang. So here is our kale. Yan. Kita nyo, they are shaded by the corn here. And then our vines here. Vine vegetables like patola, bitter gourd, ang palaya. Ito po is another example po ng high density planting na ginagawa namin. Kasi we have very limited space po, lalo pag nandito ka po sa may nakatira ka sa city. Limited talaga yung space, so you try to use as much space as you need. So ito is our leafy greens mini bed. Ito po siya. Ayan. Where we have our pak choy lettuce here. And then we have our lettuces here, different kinds, varieties of lettuce. And pansin nyo po, we just reused a drawer here. So this is an old drawer that we're not using anymore. So we just added the soil and then planted the leafy greens there. Then ang kagandahan po nito, it's easy to harvest kasi you just carry this one and then cut it, di ba? Yung kagandahan pa nito pagka mahilig ka mag-samgyupsal o ano, pag nag-samgyupsal ka dito, kunin mo na lang tong drawer, diyan ka na kumuha ng lettuce, di ba? So that's an example of high density that we are practicing po sa aming garden. And ang point ko po dito is the space to grow, which is the one component that the plant need in order to grow. Hindi naman po kailangan talaga ng proper spacing. Kasi how Mother Nature works is, hindi naman po perfect yan na pagka nahulog yung seed, yun naman, equal yung spaces nila. Hindi naman po ganun. Some will grow, some will not. And the point is, it needs space to grow, but it doesn't really specify kung gaano kahaba na kailangan 3 meters apart kapag tomato, or 3 or 5 meters apart kapag corn. Tingnan nyo naman po yung corn namin, magkakatabi po yan. Wala pa pong ano yan, ito wala na itong dalawa, sobrang magkadikit po yan, pero they still are growing corn for us. Meron pa rin po siyang bunga. Ayan po. And that's important for us. Yun lang po naman po importante. And the best part is we utilize the space properly. Yun. So, yun yung point nitong video is about space to grow. So, hindi naman importante if you're living on sa condo or you're living in a farm talaga na may rami kang space. Is wala naman pong mali if you space your vegetables the way you want it to, kung ano po yung mas applicable sa setup mo, yun naman po yung importante. Whatever works for you is yun dapat yung susundin mo. So ang point lang is, if you're growing in a small space, you should make sure na mas nutrient rich yung medium mo. So speaking of nutrients, so our next video po is about soil or yung nutrients, where we will discuss kung ano talaga yung magandang soil and bakit, ang purpose ng soil na yun, anong magandang compost. It really depends po sa setup. So see you po sa next video namin. Right.